Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sobriety University. Today, we got a good one. Big shout out to the homie who suggested this topic. This video is going to be about what are the causes of addiction. And I think this is a really important topic to understand because a lot of times there can be some confusion when getting into recovery. Like, why the hell am I dealing with this? Right? I thought I was a normal person for most of my life. That's what I thought. I thought I had no issues. My life was going as planned, right? Was going to school, graduated, etc. And now all of a sudden I'm in this like dark night of the soul. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so it took me a while to understand like the reasons why I struggle with addiction, and I had some of the stuff come up that has come up. And in understanding it, I'm much better able to accept it, and in turn accept myself and who I am, and then in turn take the action to better my life in the way that is more conducive to myself and to others. So the first thing that causes addiction is, and this is, again, this is, take this with a grain of salt, this is my opinion, it's trauma. So trauma is something that every human being deals with, from coming out of the womb to the first day we go to school, right? This isn't some unique thing that's only specific to people with addiction. I think everyone has a bit of trauma in them. The thing with people with addiction, though, is that we have never really learned how to process it properly. So people that are like kind of what we call normies, they've had traumatic stuff happen. Maybe they lost a loved one at an unexpected time. Again, maybe just like little things like the first time you got dropped off at daycare, and they were able to process that in the moment. For some reason, beknownst to me, uh, I was not able to, and I think many of you were not able to as well, and therefore that trauma kind of sat in the soul and just festered and grew and manifested. Of course, this is all speculation. Take this with a grain of salt, and you know yourself more than anyone. So, um, what trauma? The question would be, what trauma have you dealt with, and how do you think it still plays a role in your life? Because I'll give some examples here. So for me, I was adopted, right? So from a very young age, I experienced a huge loss when I was first separated from my birth mom right at being born. And then 3 months later, once I grew an attachment to my foster mom, I was taken from her as well. And I remember my parents saying that the whole plane ride home from Korea to the US, we lived in like, I think, Minnesota, I was just crying the whole time. So I was not able to process that in a very healthy way. Healthy or not, right? I was 3 months old, but that trauma still lives within. And a lot of times when I'm feeling that sadness come up, I want to escape. I want to escape with watching television, with eating, with social media, all the above. Checking this YouTube channel to see if people have subscribed. So hey, I'm no saint here as well. And over the years, again, I've just learned more and more that okay, this is kind of who I am. There's a lot of things I can do to mitigate this. AKA, I did a lot of trauma work, so I went into therapy. That was something I really recommend for folks that are getting into recovery. I don't do therapy anymore because I realize at some point I have to do my own therapy and be my own kind of counsel and guidance. Plus, it's expensive. So, but at the time, it was really helpful to be able to talk through some of these issues that I kind of suppressed and felt shame about since a young age. So, coming full circle, how does that manifest into addiction? Well, again, the pain of some of those experiences can be so much that the only thing that makes sense is to use. So, smoke marijuana, drink alcohol, watch porn, etc. Whatever the vice is or behavior, even just like obsessively pursue relationships, etc. It's all to kind of make us forget about that pain that, that I was trying to avoid, and that maybe you were trying to avoid as well. So again, coming full circle, guys, trauma, it's no joke, and it's again in every single person. However, there are things we can do to address it, including talking about it, including IFS therapy, which is something I started doing recently, which is I talk to those different parts of myself that were wounded and kind of abandoned by myself or by others in childhood, or even in my teenage years, college years. It doesn't really matter. Trauma can happen at any moment. And in better understanding and seeing those parts, having compassion, they in a sense kind of resolve, and they just kind of get to take that deep breath. They accept, they understand that, hey, I'm finally being seen by the most important person in my life, which is myself for those parts, and for you for those parts in you. And then it can kind of just relax. It's like, okay, I got what I needed, and I can stop asking for attention, which is kind of what trauma is doing. It's just like, give me give me attention right now, please, I need it. And of course, we're in the real world, so it's like, hey, I got shit to do. So we could talk about trauma for hours, and we'll definitely discuss more of this on the channel. Let's move into the next one though, which is biological predisposition. So, what do I mean by this? I mean that some people are just kind of have that wiring to be a little more pleasure seeking than others. And I've noticed this. I have friends that don't have really strong addictive personalities. Maybe there's like a vice here or there, right? Like they'll drink beer on the weekend, or they like watching TV or whatever. But it never got to the degree that I think it got for myself and so many of you, that it was just like, dude, my life just blows, right? It seems like some of those folks were much able to kind of navigate life in an easier fashion. They never, got in trouble with the law. They weren't selling dope. They weren't, smoking from sun out to sundown. They were kind of just living their normal life. And I was always like, why do they get to do that and I don't? This is so confusing. But over time, again, I learned that it's just kind of something that people are hardwired with. And the same way, like some people are genetically gifted in sports, it's kind of like this. We're genetically gifted to have addictions and kind of seek pleasure as much as possible. Now, I will share a caveat that I think all three of these things I'm going to talk with you about today are interconnected. So again, maybe because of the trauma, it did cause us to seek that pleasure seeking a little bit more, versus someone who was able to work through trauma easier, etc. So you can look at it from one way, or you can look at it that they're all connected. Whatever works best for you. I look at them separately and together. It depends on the situation. So again, biological too. This can come from ancestral trauma. If you guys heard of that before, it's that stuff from our ancestors gets passed down through generations. So let's do an example. Maybe you were German, right, or Jewish, right? There's probably some ancestral trauma that got passed down from relatives that were in the Holocaust. Or maybe your family was in a really rough environment, like nomads or something, right? And so they were always looking for that next drink, always looking for that next meal. And then therefore, let's say you have an eating disorder, right? Or an addiction that, I'll say I had that too. It could be something from that, just biologically being passed down from generation to generation, to, even though we're in a safe place today where we can get food at the snap of a finger, we can even order it online without even having to move besides our fingers. There still can be that like energy of, oh, I need to, I'm in survival, right? How do I get my next meal, etc. So yeah, this is something I definitely deal with too. I think maybe being Korean, had came from a very disciplined lineage, and because of that, I'm very hard on myself. So again, guys, comment down below if you have any thoughts about this, and how this plays a role into your life. Shout out to Tyson. What's up, bro? What's up, homie? Thanks for tuning in. I don't think we met before, but it's cool to meet you. And I'll be opening this up for a live Q&A. So if you want to come on the show right now and share something, say what's up, I'm going to post a link right here that you can tune into. Again, no worries. You don't have to at all. You feel free to just leave comments, etc. But if you'd like, you can come on and say what's up. So the last one here that kind of I thought about today was cultural upbringing. So this one, I did kind of touch on this in the last one. Depending on where we live in different states, how our family grew up, etc., is really going to dictate how we behave as adults. So thankfully for me, my folks were sober when I was born. My dad struggled with alcohol. He got into support groups. He got the help he needed, and he got sober before I was born. So I was never around alcohol, and therefore I never really liked alcohol that much. I would drink, I would drink compulsively, and I would binge because I was in a college environment, because it was a cool thing to do. But I never enjoyed it. Now, weed, on the other hand, I really enjoyed. And my parents didn't smoke weed, so it's like, okay, why maybe did you get drawn to weed then if your parents didn't smoke it and it wasn't in your culture. Well, I think even though my parents got sober, they were still very strict in a lot of ways. And we grew up Catholic. We went to church every Sunday. We were raised to be good kids. And if we ever felt any emotion besides happiness or joy, something was off. So in that sense, it taught me that I have to be perfect. And when I found weed, it took that pressure away. I was like, whew, I don't have to just act all the time. I don't have to carry around this baggage and judge everything and everyone. I was hanging out with people that I never thought I would hang out with, that I labeled as druggies in high school. And here I was having great times with them, connecting on a deep level with people I never thought I could connect with. So in that sense, weed was a great benefit because it taught me things that I never would have learned without it. However, I never learned how to have that peace and that harmony without the weed. So when the weed stopped working so much, when I realized, when I started to become dependent on it, that was when it became an issue. And again, this, I think, stems back from not learning some of those skills that some other folks learn at a young age from their parents, from folks, from mentors, etc. And part of our work here in recovery is to learn how to do that for ourselves, to be like our own parent in a sense. They call that in like the IFS therapy. It's inner parenting. There's also support groups that discuss this directly, and I'll link a link down below. You can check it out. You'll know what it is, I promise. And let's just say the word dysfunction is in it. And essentially, it's learning how to heal some of those unhealthy relationships that we had in childhood. So some other parts about cultural too, like I know race has a big role to play in it. And again, we could talk about that for hours, but certain races tend to lean towards certain substances more than others. Certain, I'd say, ethnicities as well, certain cultures. So, like America has a different culture than Poland, which is where I'm at right now. Poland has a different culture than Korea, different culture than Mexico, etc. And each one's going to have its different vibe. And even in those cultures, there's even mini cultures. So, being in America, right, Miami is different from Wisconsin. Wisconsin actually is a big drinking state. They say drink Wisconsinly, and there's like a brewery in every town. I'm exaggerating, of course, but there's a lot of breweries and people love to drink. Man, people love to drink there. And so that kind of taught, I didn't fit in Madison because especially once I got clean, I'm like, dude, like I don't like drinking. I don't like going out to the bars. It's not fun. I don't even like watching a sports game and drinking beer. It's like, why would I do that? I'd rather just play the sport. And of course, you can't be drunk to go play basketball. So I had to learn that, okay, this culture isn't going to be conducive for long-term happiness and fulfillment. And therefore, I moved to a state, well, a country that has different values, right? Now, I will say I didn't know this, that Warsaw, which is where I'm at, it's a big drinking culture and they smoke a lot of nicotine. But there are people out there that don't. And I think overall the vibe of people and the attitudes are a lot different than where I'm from, Wisconsin. I found in Wisconsin that they call it the Midwest nice, where everyone's kind of fake. And I have to work through this myself too, because I can catch myself being fake nice. And it's just like, ugh, it's just cringy. But when you're surrounded by people that are being fake nice, the only thing that's authentic is being fake nice. And then when someone's actually authentic, it's like weird. And here, everyone's very authentic. Everyone's very direct. If they don't like you, they'll let you know. They'll tell you to piss off, not in so many words, but customer service isn't big here either. So you walk in the store, they're not going to greet you right away. Even if you do need help, they might not even help you. It's a funny thing. I'm going to hop into a couple of comments here. Say, man, I'm about to quit weed now. I know it's going to be so hard. Yeah, dude, thanks for sharing that. I can empathize and recognize what it's like to be at that beginning stages. And it sounds to me like there's a bit of fear. And I think it's really important to, dive into that fear. You got this, man. I promise you, if I could do it and tell you my life was in the shitter, no doubt you can as well. And you're right. It's going to be hard. I think that's something important to acknowledge. Nothing worth having in life is easy. I think, again, let's go back to culture here. I grew up in a culture, and maybe you did as well, where we were handed things on a silver platter. I was a bit spoiled. We weren't rich by any means, but I always had what I needed. And so I never learned that if I really wanted something, I had to go out and really work for it. And so that's, in a sense, when I was about to get sober and quit marijuana, I was like, okay, this is my chance to be that person that has work ethic, has discipline, shows up, and is someone that people can look up to and say, wow, this guy freaking does what he says he's going to do. He's not a half in, half out kind of guy, which I kind of was my whole life. And in turn, it's just yielded so many positive things. I live a life of discipline now. I can't even imagine another way. And it's hard to even think that I was in a state where I was just like, doing whatever the hell I wanted, not caring at all. So at some point, maybe a year down the line, rewatch this podcast, and who knows, maybe you'll just be like, wow, like I'm a completely different person. And it's one of the gifts of recovery and getting sober is you get to completely change from the inside out. It's unbelievable. I'm excited for you, man. Feel free to reach out anytime if you're struggling. Reach out on IG. That my IG is right there, and you can shoot me a DM. We can have a chat, even hop on like a call or something, and just shoot the shit, because it helps me too, talking with other people who have the same mindset and are in recovery and care about their health and well-being, because it gives me strength as well. We have Joseph here. What's up, brother? Joseph Perini. Kia ora, bro, from New Zealand. Nice 3 a.m. local. Hot. Dude, thanks for coming on, man. So late or so early, whatever way you want to look at it. Clean streak day 4. Let's go. Interested how trauma relates to addiction, which is something never considered before. Yeah, dude. Day 4. Congrats. That's a big win. It's those first. I would say the hardest day is like the first and second day, and then getting to that week mark, because it's like it's not like long enough to where you can see the wins, and it's not short enough where I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm saying though, right? It's a weird limbo spot. So keep pushing through, man. And I'll share this with you. I'm on 2 weeks of no watching movies or YouTube or anything. That's kind of one of my addictions. Ironically, I'm making a YouTube video, so I guess I'm kind of like a drug dealer, right? But in a sense, this is one of the addictions I've been working on for almost 2 years, over 2 years, almost 3 years now. And I've gone on, I've gone off. I've had nights where I've just been so upset because I relapsed or whatever. So I know what that is, and I'm feeling that now. And I'm so happy I got through that first week. And now it's just like staying in the program, staying in recovery, talking to people every day that are in recovery and have the same mindset, have that same drive, like I was sharing with Tyson. And yeah, it's just like it's just a totally brand new life, and I'm just so happy I made it through that first week. So keep pushing through. And then that was a long-winded answer to that statement there. But the second part is just how trauma relates to addiction, which is something I never considered before. I recommend rewatching this once the stream is over. I talk about that in the first like 5 minutes or so. Just a cliff notes, and for people that are new, essentially it's the reason the pain that trauma caused as a kid, and that we were never taught how to address it, which I think would be something that'd be great to teach kids, right, in kindergarten, even like how to deal with your pain. But no, we taught math and algebra, not algebra, but how to read and do stupid stuff like that. But like the real juice is how to live to master our emotions. And so because those emotions weren't mastered and understood, as adults we still carry that pain. It just circulates in and out. There's different parts of our psyche that are just like screaming for attention, screaming for help me, help me, help me. And because we don't know how to acknowledge that and give that part the attention and fulfillment it needed, it acts out in different ways. It seeks that pleasure and relief through the addictions. So it's not a pleasant part. It isn't. It isn't. It's not. It hurts to have to face some of this stuff once the addiction wears off, weed, etc. Sounds like you guys here are smoking weed. It's painful, and but it's very freeing at the same time. And it's just like you get to move forward in life finally. That's I guess the best way I can sum it up. You're welcome, brother. Yes, definitely keep me posted. Let's see, 3 months recently. That's big. That's big. And then have how to have just one J though, brother. Yeah, dude, that's a good question, and it's something that when I quit, I held on to a little jar of weed for the day that I could smoke again. But I got to the point where I was just one enjoying life so much more sober, and two, I'd put so much work to get to where I was, which was like 4 months at the time. I'm just like, it's not worth even risking sabotaging this progress for just to smoke a little weed and get a little high. So I gave it to a buddy who came over. He took it, who was still smoking, and that was that. So I can't say that you're somebody that won't be able to use weed occasionally. That would be just I don't know that. Um, I can say from my experience though, I'm someone that the saying is one is too many. Wait, one is too many. 1,000 is never enough. Which essentially, well, I'll say it again. One is too many. 1,000 is never enough. Which means, fuck. Let's read. One is never enough. I th- Anyway, so the point the point is that if I have one, it's going to be like, why would I just have one? Like, I'm going to smoke all night, right? It's not. I'm not somebody that can have that balance. I have to have a real discipline around this stuff. So it's something that it's good you're asking yourself this question, I think, and for anyone watching, it's important to say, am I somebody that can use occasionally? And you might have to experiment. Um, but what I found, and take it from a guy who's been through the ringer, that it it life can be really good without it, and at some point you may realize you just don't need it anymore. So yeah, that's touching on that. Able to stop after one of just weed though. And again, yeah, you might be somebody that can do it occasionally, and you just need to have strong boundaries with yourself. I don't know, but yeah, keep us posted and how that transpires from you with you. Again, either way, you're in a good place, and I think what this channel can offer you and can provide for you is going to be beneficial whatever route you take. I have friends that can smoke weed once in a while and they don't have an issue with it because they're very disciplined in other areas of their life. So maybe, and I've even thought about it too, like maybe like if I did smoke, would it really be okay? Would I be able to manage it now that now that I know myself better, that I feel trauma, etc. So that could be something to investigate too. I know that, again, just coming full circle, that I've spent so much time in recovery and working on this stuff that it's just not worth it for me anymore. And I just like being clear headed as often as possible. So one more thing popped up on this topic that I'd like to share about, and it is the importance of health and well being. So something that I used to do when I was younger was I used to stay up all night. I could party from sun up to sundown. I could get 3 hours of sleep and go again the next day. Growing up, though, that doesn't work like that anymore. If I'm not getting 6 to 8 hours of good quality sleep, I feel like shit. And I feel drunk. I feel my head hurts. It's the weirdest thing. And I only started becoming aware of it in the last few years, which means maybe it's just because I'm getting older. I'm almost 29 now. So that could be a part of it. But I think when the body and the mind is not in sync, when it's not healthy, when it's not being nourished with quality food, it's very easy for that addictive personality to say, "Hey, man, let's we're already feeling like crap. Let's go enjoy some more crap, right? We can't get any lower than this." Whatever the story might be in your head, that's kind of what it was for me. It was like, well, you're not gonna get this day back, so might as well just go party, or whatever the behavior was. So overall, I had to learn how to really start taking care of myself in a more healthier way. So eating really good food, clean organic food as much as possible, cutting out the processed stuff, making sure I'm getting all my vitamins and supplements, which we'll do a separate video on that sometime, but it's really important. So like I take a ton of stuff. I take like DIM for testosterone, boron, curcumin, which is basically anti-inflammatory. It's like a counteracted. It's like Prozac, but in supplement form. Vitamin D, huge, huge. If you guys didn't know, I think it was 95% of the people who got COVID were deficient in vitamin D. Correlation, not causation? I don't know. Sounds pretty correlated to me. Sounds pretty caused to me. So vitamin C as well, vitamin B, all of these things are going to really affect how our just moods are on a day-to-day basis. And when our moods are happier, more uplifted, more joyful, more hope, inspiration, excitement, etc., peace, love, you name it. It's like that's really when the mindset starts to hit like, yeah, why would I go use? Like, why would I ruin this high, this natural high, to get another short-term high that's going to be very short, and then I'll feel like absolute crap for days, weeks, or months, and that could lead down a terrible spiral. You see how quickly that escalated, right? And that's kind of what goes in my mind when I consider like, hey, like what would it be like if I went out and drank for a night? I'm just like, dude, like I feel too good on a day-to-day basis. So also getting out there, making sure we're taking really good care of ourselves in a dietary sense, and then also physically. So when I was smoking weed and drinking all the time, I would go out, I would go work out, but it wasn't quality workouts. It was, I would go and I don't know, just do a couple sets, just so I said I did something, and then I'd maybe even be stoned when I was working out, which were terrible workouts. Some people can do it. Again, some people can do it. I was not one of them. And so the first thing I did when I got sober was I started hitting the gym. I started going out in the streets. I started running. I started, yeah, going get lifting weights again, getting a good pump on 4 or 5 days a week. I'm doing some CrossFit, anything I could to get that heart rate up and get that natural high, those endorphins, the runner's high as they call it. I used to run in high school and I did cross country and track, and I think that was a big reason why I never got into drugs and stuff, because I was getting so much natural feel good chemicals from exercise. Did I definitely overdo it? Absolutely. I was addicted to running. We would run like 60, 65 miles a week, 13-mile days. It was insane, right? Now I'll run a mile and I'll be toast. So definitely have that under control now. But the point is that exercise is going to be really important into maintaining that happiness, making sure that we're taking the best care of ourselves. And not only that, it's going to in turn send a signal to the body like, yo, because you're doing this, you might get to live 10 years longer, right? You might get to see the newest iPhone 300, right? That's one of my motivations. I want to see all the coolest tech. I'm a big tech guy. So once that starts to come into play too, like, yo, I might live an extra 15, 20 years if I start taking care of myself. Again, why the hell would I go use substances and ruin all that? Like, it's basically suicide. It's a slow death, a death by 1,000 joints. I have a video about that. I'll post that in the comments here. It's pretty. The thumbnail is pretty funny, but I think the topic's good too. It's just like, weed is a slow killer. Addiction is a slow killer. It starts off fun and then it turns deadly, kind of before you know it. So let me find that here real quick. And then again, let's touch back on sleep very quickly. Sleep so crucial. Without it, it's going to affect how we behave with other people, etc. Relationships. So let's touch on relationships too. Let me answer a few of these comments quick. So here is the video. You can check it out on YouTube. You might relate to it. Let's see. Kazma Hamnida, bruv. I'm expecting that means something positive. So back at you. If it doesn't, then might be. Silver Steve says, "Stay strong, brothers." Amen, dude. We're all in this together. I worked out always high, and then I couldn't remember. That's funny. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh man, right? You're just doing like 1,000 reps of bench. It's like, did I do that last set or not? That's funny. Okay. Yeah, lose count. Breathe deep on meditation is also, oh yeah. Amen. Thank you, Toby. Meditation is huge. I started meditating 2 weeks before I quit weed. I really think it was a reason why I did quit, because I started to have that awareness. I started to think on that deeper level that we've been kind of talking about this stream here, of the importance of being able to know yourself better and see your long-term trajectory, not just like, it's ironic, right? Because in meditation, we want to learn how to live in the present moment, but sometimes we're too in the present moment, or we like don't want to look at that there is a future and that it is coming, and that there is stuff that's going to be needed to take care of. I don't want to be in a nursing home. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to be able to live out my days in a nice house, being able to take care of myself because I'm healthy and I can walk and all that, and I'm taking good supplements, taking care of myself. So that is a huge motivator for me. And again, if I'm not thinking down the line, through quieting my mind, I might never have reached that. Chur. I'm guessing that means like dope or whatever. Yeah, I was like, damn, today is Friday. I shouldn't be doing legs today. My arms. Today was arms day. Dude, leg workouts are seriously like, to me they're the best feeling workout, but they're also the hardest. And it's basically just squat. Like squatting is, I always get the most nervous before squatting, and I always feel the best after squatting. There's just something about it. It's hard, and I would love to actually have a conversation on like what your workout routine is like and stuff, because I love fitness. A lot of my friends are into fitness. I'm not, because I'm keto. I don't put on a lot of muscle anymore, so this is kind of like the biggest I'm gonna get. So I'm really toned, but I'm not like a big dude. And I've actually had to work through that sometimes. I had some trauma about that, being like a small kid. Uh, Never like, I wasn't like short. I was just skinny, and I always had some insecurity about that. So when I could pound caffeine and eat a bunch of sugar and then put on 10 pounds in a week, it it kind of fueled that eating addiction I had. So yeah, again, coming full circle back to the trauma. Trying to say thank you. Oh yeah, dude, I'm like the worst Korean you're ever gonna meet. If you- yeah. Oh, 감사합니다. Yes. Yeah. If you want to, yeah, raised by whites. Let's just say that. I'm actually planning on going to Korea after Poland here, and gonna experience that. And I'm just honestly a bit like wary, because I just don't know anything about Korean culture at all. So yeah, dude. Thanks for commenting, man, and for everyone else who commented. I'm trying to think here. Is there anything else that we could touch on? Yes, here it is. Last thing we were going to touch on today, and is relationships. Right now, right? We're having relationships. The lack of relationships, I think, is a big factor that contributes to addiction. I know a lot of people in addiction can feel a lot of isolation, and that fuel, that loneliness, sometimes the only escape from it, the only possible thought, can be to use a substance, right? Hey, if I smoke my weed, I'll at least be comfortable within myself. Or if I just binge watch another Netflix series, at least I'll have the people on the screen to connect with, right? And there's been periods of my time where I was very social and I had a lot of friends, and then times where I was not very liked and my social status dropped very low, and just didn't have many good relationships. And again, it did come down to my behavior, so that can be another topic for another day. But in those periods of isolation is where I turned to bad habits. Especially, I remember, I think it was my junior year in high school, maybe second half of junior year going into senior year. I just was in a really low place. Like, I'd smoked weed a few months before that. My dad caught me and just blew up. So I like was kind of shocked by that. So I was no longer confident around people. And I just remember Friday nights I'd be in my home, in my basement, watching Family Guy and then watching porn. It was just like not a healthy way to live. And it's I was doing it every weekend, weekend after weekend. And when I would go out and try to socialize, because I had just destroyed my brain with all this porn and then terrible TV, I couldn't really connect with people. And so it just kind of built a negative cycle. And then when I got out of high school and I found weed and kind of felt that freedom again, because I was no longer in have to live with my parents, I was going to college. Uh, Part of that like social aspect opened up again that I had kind of buried and suppressed. Um, but then that was fueled by the weed, because weed kind of made me forget about all the trauma, and so on and so forth. And then when I got into recovery, it took a long time, I'll be honest, to learn how to have relationships again, to learn how to socialize, which is okay, which is not a bad thing. I needed that time alone. I needed that monk mode, as they call it, and to really learn how to really learn about myself, which is something I really neglected in the past. And now that I've taken that time by myself. Now I really understand who I am on a deep level. Now I can start going out and having fun relationships again, in a totally different light. And because of that, that is what fuels me, not the desire to use. Now I have to be careful that I don't turn to people for like too much for that addictive pleasure, because I can get that like rush of dopamine when I'm about to hang out with someone I respect and I like. So it is still a balance there, but it's something I really recommend folks is to get out there and get into communities, support groups, even online forums. I know Reddit has certain quitting marijuana groups, or probably quitting alcohol, any addiction, really. I bet there's a group out there. And it's just, getting a phone number, saying, hey, man, would you be up to have a call once a week? I do that too with guys today. One of the guys that came on one of the free recovery meetings, we have a good relationship. Jade, him and I did an interview together, and we met just from YouTube, right? And we talk probably once every couple weeks. We're actually going to have a call in the next day or so, and we become kind of homies, right? He's still like, he's a few months sober, like probably like 5 months sober. So it's not like uh, we're there's not like any like weird ego shit there. It's just like we're both two guys on the journey and we have a connection, and that's what matters. And you might find that too, and it might really help you on some of those days where you want to use and pick up the joint or go to the liquor store. It's like, well, I could just call my buddy and have a great conversation and grow spiritually and emotionally and relationally. Um, is that really worth sabotaging over going to get high? And comment down below in a week or two on this post or on this live stream on what that answer is. I guarantee you it'll save you some nights of potential relapse. And it has for me, for sure. And then healing relationships as well from family and stuff. That was something that my relationships with my folks weren't very good. I was a bit of a shithead. I lied a lot, and I because of that shame, I never reached out to them. I didn't even reach out to them on Christmas one year because I just so angry at my life. And so that healed as well. And then, so now there's this motivation. Well, if I relapse, I'm going to let my family down. Will they still support me? Yes. But are they happier knowing that I'm not on substances and not smoking weed every day? Absolutely. So in turn, it helps others as well. It's not just about me. And this is something that is a really important part of recovery, is service and getting out there, getting out volunteering, right? This is another great way to connect with people and connect with the universe, connect with, make amends for maybe some of the actions that you took that were maybe a little more selfish in your past. And I think another cause of addiction would be selfishness. And as humans, we're not meant to just be 100% autonomous. We're not meant to just not take care of ourselves, but just only fend for ourselves. We're tribal creatures. We're meant to help protect, especially as men. We're meant to lead. We're meant to provide for others, women, children, etc., other men. And in finding some way to do that, it's gonna unleash a level of testosterone, a level of biological just predispositioned manhood that I didn't feel when I was smoking. I felt no sense of like, mojo. Remember, if you guys remember Austin Powers, no mojo. Basically, it was just like, I don't know, like they call it like a simp in the in those communities, right? I was just selfish, always looking out for myself. So one of the things I did when I got into support groups after about 4 months is I started volunteering. I started helping out at meetings. I started reaching out to people that were new in recovery, and then I started going to doing like a once a week volunteer thing. So I would do like a botanical garden, which was really nice because I got to sit in a beautiful garden for 3 hours. Or what else were some? I can't even remember, but it's something I really recommend, is go out and be of service. Just 1 hour a week. It'll absolutely change your life and make you realize that you have more to give to the world than just yourself. But it is important to give to yourself, but just you have so much to offer others, and in turn it's just going to light their lives up too, and it'll absolutely change your life. Maybe that's the most important thing from today's stream, is the power of service. So I really recommend that. So guys, let's go through these comments and then we'll wrap it up. So sometimes we just want to connect with someone and we end up connecting with something. Yep, absolutely. That connection is huge for human beings. We're all creatures that need that. Toby, what's up, bro? Weed feels like an escape, but in the long run, I felt it like a prison. Absolutely. 18 days free and every day is a huge victory. Amen, brother. Congratulations. Congratulations. Throw some ones in the comment for Toby. It killed all the motivation, made me okay with being sad. Yeah, complacency. I forgot about that. Definitely makes you at peace with the pain. Um, however that manifests. Dreams again. Yep, absolutely, Joseph. Dreams are super powerful. They help us process through things, events, even the trauma. And so I think being able to have dreams again is super key. So true. I feel I lost control of myself. I have no willpower, but I'm going to stop and get. Absolutely, man. That is the attitude you need in this, right? You're admitting that in the past you haven't been where you think you could be, and you haven't unlocked your full potential, but you're admitting it. You're saying it to the universe, and in turn, the universe is gonna help you along this journey. So thanks for being honest, man. And dude, I I'm so excited for you. I bet you I would if I was a betting man, which I had to quit because I got addicted to gambling. I would bet that you are someone that can develop great willpower, 100%. And then let's see, Silverstein, 2 months here. Congrats, man. Congrats. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's 60 days, dude. It's nuts. Maybe more now. And yeah, a lot of sacrifices, money, friendships, hobbies, not having talents or passions. But exactly, it's never too late, and you'll never know what thing might kind of light your fire. If you would have told me when I was quitting I'd be making YouTube videos, I'd I'd call you. I'd probably think you were on drugs, to be honest. It's never something I thought I would do. I absolutely love it. I love the creation of it. I love editing, etc. So it's just a blast. And so, definitely it's important to have that open mindset to whatever comes. Or basketball. I never could dribble a basketball until like a year ago, and now I love it and I hoop. Well, I can't. There's no hooping in Poland, but back in the U.S., I would hoop like 3 days a week, and I was getting decent. Like I could drain threes on a good day and be a contributing factor to the team. So you never know, man. You never know what might just light your fire. It's hard when your family smokes weed. I encourage you to smoke again. Yeah, dude. Maybe we can do a separate live stream on that, because that's a really important thing. Just like specifically on family and how that influences you. I don't know what that's like. I imagine it's very difficult though. And so I mad respect to you for going through this journey, even though your family is still encouraging you to smoke. And it's just going to make you such a strong human being. And you never know how it might rub off on certain family members, etc. Something I will recommend is not to, and this is a reminder to me too, is to it's easy to, once the success comes, to want to share it with everyone. And I've had to learn that if someone, like, not to tell people to quit weed. People don't want to hear it. People do not want to hear it. I found when people are ready, they come to me and to ask about it. But I think the worst thing I could do, I've done, is say like someone who's smoking weed that I care about, and it comes out of love. It's like a dysfunctional love. It's like, yo, you should quit weed, man. This has changed my life. This will change yours too. It's like, okay, if they want it, they'll come to me. And in terms of the relationships are much better. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a great stream. I really appreciate you boys tuning in and talking and stuff. Again, if you guys have any topics that you want me to talk about in specific, let me know. Next week, we have a really exciting guest. I'll share with you guys since you tuned in today. We're interviewing Erica Davenport. She played basketball from Milwaukee. No, she played basketball for Marquette, and now she plays pro ball overseas. So it's going to be sick. It really doesn't have much to do with addiction. It's more about mindset and staying motivated, because she had some trauma in her career that set her back. And so she's a very motivated individual, and we hoop together, and she throws down. Like, we did ones, and I was just like fuck, like what am I gonna do, dude? She's just too good. So it's gonna be a really fun one. So tune in for that. Toby will definitely talk about family at some point. And yeah, guys, have a great evening or afternoon or wherever you are. We'll talk to you soon, and have a great day. Peace.